Okay, welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classic plus Non-Classics. This episode 1250 and Doubleshot number 1144. Yep, I have two more X-Men trades. Yep, we have the fourth and fifth volumes for the Marvel Masterworks Uncanny X-Men series. First, let's discuss this one. Yes, this one, which has a few debuts in this one, believe it or not. Oh, yes, there's a few debuts. There is a debut of the character Proteus. Yes, those are like Proteus. You mean the character who showed up during Neurosha, who Magneto sent to space, and who also appeared in the X-Men animated series? Yes, that guy. By the way, the big bulky look you saw in the show, that was original look in the comic book. Though for some reason, when he showed up in X-Men Legacy for the Neurosha tie-in, he was thinner. I don't know why, and apparently he was covered in metal, so that's how Magneto was able to shove the guy into space. And that basically was his first appearance. Though one thing Liz got appreciated with these issues in here, by the way, this book contains issues 122 and 131 of Uncanny X-Men and the third annual for the series. Now you're probably thinking, okay, what happened with the first two annuals? Why start annual 3? Why collect this one? The first two annuals were, in fact, reprints, like issues 67 to 90 to 93. They were all reprints of other X-Men books. Because at the time, X-Men was not a popular seller. Chris Claremont made a popular seller when he took over the book. And so the first two issues have the X-Men have their first of many encounters with Arcade. And this is simply put gnawing after Arcade's first appearance in the comics, which, believe it or not, this character did not make his first appearance in the X-Men comic. Oh no, he was in fact the very first X-Men character to not make his debut in an X-Men comic. Actually, it was the second one, believe it or not. Yes, the second one. The first one was Wolverine. Arcade first showed up back in Marvel Team Up number 65, where basically Spider-Man himself references in the issue where they have a team up with, of all people, he teamed up with Captain Britain in his first U.S. appearance. Yes, because mostly Captain Britain is mostly put in the U.K. for basically like coming over, hey, why not pair them over team up? Not a bad idea. Yes, and Psylocke herself, who also first appeared in a British comic book, who later appeared in a U.S. comic book. Yes, she first appeared in the annual for New Mutants. That was her first American appearance, by the way. Aside from the two-parter dealing with Arcade, most of the issues are mostly just set up for the classic Dark Phoenix saga. Yep. So, aside from Arcade and Proteus, there's a few more characters making debut in these issues. We also have debut of Dazzler, Allison Blair. Yep. That's her right there in that cover right there. That's Allison Blair. And we also have debut of Kitty Pryde and the White Queen, which, unlike the way she's been depicted the last 6 years, no, she was never interested in Cyclops sexually. Nope. That was what Grant Morrison did, by the way. Yes. This is during a period of time when White Queen was still a villain and member of the Hellfire Club. Yep. These issues also introduced Angel's girlfriend prior to her death in the pages of X Factor, believe it or not. Yes, she was killed by Cameron Hodge. Candace Southern, who was a socialite, and she was basically his girlfriend for a long time until she died. Yep, she died. And let's see. Yeah, and the way that these issues planted seeds for the Dark Phoenix saga is basically first having Jinga meet up with Jason Wengrow, I think his name is, a.k.a. Mastermind, which I do appreciate the artwork making him a lot more presentable than he would last appear, because the thing of Mastermind is usually he was picked as an older guy who just also, I should also point out that we have a guest appearance by Luke Cage. Yep, because, well, Misty Knight is an old friend, is basically, well, I should put this, Misty Knight is Jean Grey's roommate. So Of course, Luke Cage would occasionally pop up in the book. And in case you're curious, though, no, Luke Cage never developed an attraction to Storm. Despite how beautiful the woman is, he never developed an attraction to her because he had his eyes for Claire Temple. Yep, that's what he had a thing for, Claire Temple. Before she broke up with him, and then he later on ended up with Jessica Jones. Yep, let's see. Oh, yeah, the annual featured Archon. Yes, if you read this story, you're probably like, man, this sounds like the episode from the next animated series because they drew a lot from the Chris Claremont era. Yeah, Archon, this was technically his first appearance as a counselor with the Avengers, which he tried to make the Scarlet Witch his wife. And this book, he tried to make Storm his wife. I'm like, dude, you're one lucky guy. But there's already one guy who already made claim to her, the Black Panther. Yeah, he already took her virginity when she was 12. I am not kidding about that. That's what Reginald Holland revealed during his run for Black Panther. Yep. Yeah, Storm is not a virgin. So, and plus, there's already a guy who claimed her, Black Panther. So, you're out of luck. Though oddly enough, publication-wise, she's never met Black Panther until 2000s. Though it was established through some retcons that she met him when she was younger. Yep, and let's see, what else? Not much else. The Archon issue is pretty interesting, where, like, oh, he's a nice person, he's trying to look for a bride, brings on a storm. Now, as far as I can tell with Archon, mostly fun. He's a guy who counters most of the Avengers. This is by far, I think, his only time he's ever countered the X-Men. Because I don't think he ever countered her again. Beast knew about him because they read about him in the Avenger Files. Okay, perfectly fine. But yeah, number 10 these issues. They're great. The book a 10 out of 10. Still same creative team, by the way. You have Chris Claremont and John Byrne. Plus you have George Perez, who did the annual, which was really good. 10 out of 10. Next up, it is the Dark Phoenix Saga. This contains issues basically of 132 to 140, and number 4, Phoenix Sentinel Story, which is at the actual original conclusion to the actual story, and Bizarre Adventures number 27. The Dark Phoenix Saga, by far one of the most controversial X-Men sagas of all time, purely because the fact it starts out really strong, where you have the Hellfire Club here, and if you're curious, so how like they're depicted in the actual X-Men series, where they only appear just for historic and they appear again, though in the comics they still frequently appear. So Jean Grey becomes apparently the new Black Queen. This is before they debuted Selene. Yes, the beautiful Selene, who became the official Black Queen of Hellfire Club after this. Yes, and Jason Woodrow, basically Mastermind. He manipulated Jean Grey, becoming his wife, though it was unofficial, and make her the Black Queen. And this is his offer to become part of the Inner Circle. He never officially became part of the Inner Circle. Yes, this arc is basically no worthy of a debut. The other members of the Hellfire Club, Sebastian Shaw, who was the Black King. We also have, I'm trying to think what was his name. He's a chubby guy. It's, what is his name? Henry Leland. Yes, Henry Leland, who was basically the Black Rook of the Hellfire Club. Yeah, he had position of Black Rook. Emma Frost was the White Queen. If you're curious, though, who was the White King, it was Donald Pierce, who, from what I remember, I don't think he appeared in the storyline. No, I don't think he ever did. I think he made his debut later. Oh, this is what Jason Woodrow. This is what Masterman looked like. This is the Inner Circle, the original Inner Circle. From left to right, yeah, that's Donald Pierce right there. The blonde guy, that's Donald Pierce. You have Henry Leland, who's a Black Bishop. The guy in the middle, that's Sebastian Shaw, whose appearance really hasn't changed all much over the years, except his hair has got a lot thinner. Mastermind, and there's Jean Grey. I'm not sure what his position was. Yes. Now, at least I appreciate, though, that John Byrne made Mastermind a lot more presentable than basically a creepy old man. That's what he was originally. That's what Jack Kirby picked him as. And then probably because of all the illusions that cast on him, Yeah, but this arc by far was his most prominent story arc he was ever involved with because after this, he didn't do much in the X Men comics after this saga wrapped up. Nope, never did. The saga itself would eventually wrap up with issue 137. Yeah, the saga itself was surprisingly only 6 issues. Yep. Well, the remaining issues really have nothing to do with Dark Phoenix Saga at all, but it does end very similarly to how it's depicted in the series, where the Shi'ar get involved, so they transport the X-Men to space, and they fight in the blue area of the moon, just like in the cartoon. But unlike the cartoon, they actually feature the Watcher. Yes, the Watcher is here, and he's watching this because that's what the Watchers do. They watch stuff. The Watcher is here because it's his home, so why not have him featured? And he doesn't do anything, like usual. And when 137, Jean Grey apparently dies. Yep, though this death made effect for several years until the mid 80s, which I'll discuss that in a minute. And then Second take a leave of absence and team up with Doctor Strange for the fourth annual, which is a weird annual. It's a very forgettable annual. 139 is basically Kitty Pryde joining the X-Men, though Angel would briefly join the roster. And then, of course, 140 was wrapping up with Louis Stress's 120, dealing with Alpha Flight's thing of getting back Wolverine. So thanks to dealing with Wendigo, they were able to basically get Wolverine pardoned from basically abandoning position, and they accept his resignation. Though Alpha stuff was suspended, though they reformed after this, John Byrne brought these characters back. The Untold Story, basically, Phoenix, this was the original conclusion to the actual story, not the one picked here. The original one basically had, like, the X-Men lose, and then having Jean Grey go through some strange operation to remove the Phoenix Force, which caused Cyclops to basically have a strange relationship with Leandra afterwards. The Bizarre Adventures one is one of the 3 short stories in the book. It's a black and white story, just featuring Jean Grey. I like Dark Phoenix Saga. It's one of the best sagas of Chris Claremont. This is something he's building up since issue 108, believe it or not. Yeah, built this up for almost 30 issues, and it pays off really well. Though there's more stories forward, not a lot of really big stuff. Well, there's the awesome Days Future Past story that comes not long after this. It's actually just a couple issues after the story wraps up. And we have that storyline. But this is great. Give this book roughly a 10 out of 10. Excellent set of issues. Now, fun fact about this particular story. It was later retconned in 1986 by John Byrne. Yes. Because, get this, in the 80s, they were having Comic-Con at that point, a fan approached him to conceive of a story that became the actual story of how the world Jean Grey was later revived. Yeah, apparently that Jean Grey who appeared in the books issue 108 was not the actual Jean Grey. Nope, it was the Phoenix posing as Jean Grey. Yes. Oh, and if you're curious though, who was the fan that suggested this? I first read about this particular story in a book, a biography about Marvel Comics. Yes, John Byrne was actually approached by this story by a fan. And you're probably curious though, who was the fan who approached John Byrne to retcon the Dark Phoenix Saga? The answer? Kurt Busiek. Yes, Kurt Busiek, the guy who was writing books like Astro City, Marvels. He wrote some comic books for Dark Horse. He also wrote Avengers and Justice League. That Kurt Busiek. You're about thinking, Kurt Busiek basically is the guest of this? Oh, yes. So you gotta thank Kurt Busiek for the retcon of the retcon of the story, getting retcon to being, oh, this is just the Phoenix basically posing as Jean Grey and not the actual Jean Grey. I think this made effect into the retcon. I think it happened like 1986, which when it debuted, because they made this retcon debut the new group X-Factor, which brought back the original 5 X-Men. If you're curious about Angel, his tension with the X-Men with this point in time, he was with the X-Men very briefly, and then he finally retired. Before he came out of retirement, to join the Defenders actually, first the Champions, then the Defenders, and then finally X-Factor. Yeah, 3 superhero teams in the 1980s. Actually, four. First the X-Men, then the Champions with Iceman, and then took Iceman with him. We joined up with Defenders with Beast, and then of course he joined X Factor. Four teams in 10 years. Though with Champions, basically he actually that was back in the 70s. So this is actually like a brief stop for him, like afterwards. Yes, but these stories are really good. I mean, in the case Dark Phoenix Saga is by far, in my opinion, anyways, a lot of people probably had their opinion about this story. It is by far considered to be, in my opinion, one of the greatest X-Men stories of all time. Because this had good build, excellent payoff, good action, pacing, great storytelling by Chris Claremont and John Byrne for 6 issues. Though they would pull out many more stories afterwards after this for the next several years until 1991. John Byrne himself would leave the book, I would say, not long after this. Yes, though with this book, you actually have John Romita Jr. doing some artwork in here. Yes. Now, in the case of what about John? When did John Romita Jr. came on? He just did the fourth annual. Yeah, he did the fourth annual, and that was it. Yep. Now you're probably thinking, wait, this is John Romita Jr.'s artwork? Yes. Though he did Bob McLean, that's why the art looks drastically different from how I think the main book. Excuse me. Now, not long after the storyline wrapped up, John Byrne himself would leave the Uncanny X-Men series to do Alpha Flight, a book he would do for a good period of time before he left that book. Then the book went downhill after Northstar outed himself as gay. Yes, believe it or not, that's what killed the original book. That's what I can tell, anyways. Him outing himself as gay in the 90s because originally John Byrne wanted to make it, he wanted to out him as gay in the 80s, but Jim Shooter had a no gay policy. Yes, no characters can be gay in Marvel Comics. Yes, that was his policy in the 80s. Now, when I met Jim Shooter, I never discussed this policy with him. I discussed it basically the schedule thing on time, which, of course, Marvel Comics at that point had a difficulty getting books out on time. And because of him, stuff became a lot more stricter schedule, which we kind of get today. Mostly, anyways, if there's some stupid delay for some stupid reason. Yep. But these books are really good. I do recommend them. Oddly enough, my local library doesn't have next book for some reason. I don't know why. They just don't. Yes, there's still plenty more Uncanny X-Men to review. Oh, yes, there's tons of it. The only book I have reviewed for Uncanny X-Men prior to, like, let's say, the 90s was Ghost. It was a storyline featuring Nimrod. Yep. I don't know when I reviewed that, but I have reviewed in the past. Excuse me. Now, Chris Claremont's era for the Uncanny X-Men is considered from basically from his start from his original run. It's considered to be the golden age of the X-Men. Yes, the golden age. The era where everything related to the X-Men we know nowadays, he started. Most of it, anyways. But the original 5 X-Men, Juggernaut, Black Tom Cassidy, he had nothing to do with that. No, he had nothing to do with that. They knew Magneto and Mesmer. That was all Stan Lee and other creators. Now, that's what basically a lot of people would consider Chris Claremont as the golden age of the X-Men. Because a lot of the really good stories came out this period of time. Now you're probably thinking, okay, what about the original 6 issues? That is considered to be the original era of the X-Men. Because this is kind of, in a way, the golden age. Though you also call it the silver age of the X-Men because a lot of really good stuff this period of time. Though the 60s basically was known for a lot of goofy stuff. And Stan Lee thought I'd throw that in there in his books. Mostly the dialogue, per se. He would have some goofy dialogue when you read the actual original 19... Like, if you read the original 20 issues of this series, the dialogue is very goofy at best. Like, it's very out there. Though at least the stories are quite interesting to read. Mm-hmm. Yes. We had a lot of cool characters make his debuts during a period of time. A lot of really good stories. And despite the fact it's published in the Silver Age, if what I could tell for the original six issues of the X-Men series is that it seems as though after Lee left, they pretty much basically kind of in a way was doing elements what we now see currently in the X-Men comics, where everything became serious. The X-Men disbanded a couple times during this era. A lot more in Chris Cameron's run. Oh, yes. They would disband twice. Yes, twice. Like when they faked their death or whatever. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to reviewing more in X-Men because I love the series. It is so damn good. So as of right now, I've pretty much reviewed, in a way, the first 140 issues of the series. Though I have reviewed I have reviewed the Days Future Past. I got a trade for that. I reviewed that already. But as for something come afterwards, I haven't reviewed that yet. I probably reviewed those probably in the Essential Books. That's probably what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. Yep, so that's it for Signal Review. My next and probably going to be last video today is probably going to be a review for Black Clover. Now, is it videos coming tomorrow? I don't know yet. It just depends. Mm-hmm. It depends upon basically what's going on tomorrow. That I might get a chance to review tomorrow. Yeah, for the next few days, there won't be any major new anime reviews because everything is on break. So, no Fire Force, no Yes, Let Me Have Demon Princess. Yeah, they delayed that by a week because of New Year's. So, but Sunday we'll get some videos. Oh, yes. Mostly just news chapters of One Piece, 1,000 chapters for that one, and My Hero Academia. Well, aside from those two, I don't think there's any other major reviews happening that day. No, nothing I can think of, no. But yeah, but see you next video. Bye.